Hey guys, welcome to the Evermore house. Yeah, I love this house, man. I fell in love with it, and the guy who owned it, I inherited it from his sister that died. He had planned on, I guess he was gonna fix it up over time, so he owned it for several years. And then we agreed on a price, and then he drives down to close, and then he changes his mind and wants like 25 grand more. It's like, dude, we agreed on a price. So he did that like 2 or 3 times, and we finally got to the closing table. Okay, so this is a 110-year-old house. This had 2 bedrooms down here. I turned it all into 1 master suite on the main level. We kept some existing doors, and we ordered some matching doors, and we ordered the old style knobs and hardware. It had this bathroom that was already kind of existing that is really nice, right? So I kept this bathroom. This thing had a well in it, okay? And it was kind of like one of those wells that everybody knew was here. And I decided to fill it in because it made me a little nervous if the buyers might have kids or something, because it was a little dangerous. But we had a bunch of brick and rock that we tore down a chimney with. So we ended up putting the rock and brick in the well and filled it up. But it was so deep, man. We didn't ever measure it, but you could like drop a rock and it would take a few seconds to reach bottom. Yeah, it was crazy. We've had the foundation checked by an engineer. Everything's in great shape. It's amazing how well these old houses were built, man. This is a very solid house, and it's been here 100+ years. And the well was right here. Yeah, it was so cool, man. You know, if I lived here, I would have loved to have kept it, but it just made me nervous for liability because it was so deep. Could you imagine a kid falling? So this house has been added to the Alabama Register of Landmarks and Heritage. The challenges on these old historic homes is to try to keep enough of the historic charm, but also making things as new as you can too. So in this house, you know, the glass in the windows have that texture to it. It's like, I think the term for it is called restoration glass, I believe is the name of it. And it's kind of very hard to mimic this look with new windows, and windows are so expensive. We worked really hard on these wood windows to get them functioning and to fix any of the bad windows. That's always a challenge, trying to work with the windows in these historic homes. The rock is so cool in this thing. So we didn't want to paint the rock, obviously. So we chose this darker color to kind of have a nice contrast up against the rock. And I think it looks so cool. You know, it was in decent shape, but again, it needed to be rewired. It was plaster walls. We saved a little bit of the plaster, but most of the drywall's new. The hardwoods were, you know, in decent shape. We were able to redo the hardwoods in here. The layout was probably the most challenging, and there are times where it might take a few visits to the house while we're tearing it apart and trying to figure out, you know, where to put them. But I know I wanted a nice master bedroom on the main level, and it worked. Challenges you're gonna have on an old house are things like having that well. Like, it's such a cool feature, but it's kind of dangerous. It had a old homemade tank in the back. So we had to change the septic tank. We had to replace the roof because it was old. You know, but even like this tongue and groove flooring on the porch, you know, it's an unusual size. We had to replace what was rotted out. If it's a 100-year-old house, you know, it's been touched in that 100 years. So it might have been remodeled some in the 50s and 60s and 70s, maybe in the 80s. Usually those are the ugliest ones, a 100-year-old house that was remodeled in the 70s or 80s. So those are the ones that really need to be completely redone. But like for this house, what I really wanted to keep were the doors, the door hardware, the windows, and the stone outside. That was a primary concern of trying to keep. And the stone, really, you can tell, adds a lot to it.